Hello, dear hearts. How are you? Let's have a talk about this comet that's currently visible in October 2024. Generally with the naked eye, that has peaked in visibility on October the 12th, 2024, and was visible earlier on in October. Definitely will continue to be visible throughout the month of October, but depending on where you are and the state of the sky, you may need your good binoculars or telescope. Comets have an importance through all belief systems, through all cultures, throughout history. They have an importance in ways that are symbolic, superstitious, and also scientific. As we have also been taught in recent times based on our own education system and through the film industry and what we've read and understood based on themes gone by, comets can also impact this earth, can also cause disasters, have caused disasters, and are seen as threatening but also beautiful, beautiful displays. So what is a comet really when we're talking about astrology and the astrological meaning when a comet is passing so close to this earth? The reason why I have personally chosen to discuss this particular comet that was discovered in 2023 is because of its recent discovery, firstly. And secondly, it's something that is taking place astrologically right around the eclipses. So literally after the two eclipses that happened at the end of this 2024. And the season, the astrological season that the comet chooses to be visible as it goes closer towards the sun and we lose its visibility, says a lot because it's happening in Libra season, going towards the sun, dissolving from our visibility as the solar shift takes place from Libra into Scorpio. And I highlight this because the black moon Lilith is also currently in Libra, right up there with the sun. And the eclipses, in terms of the axis, the intensity of that axis is on the Aries-Libra Aries axis. So I feel that it is necessary to discuss how the comet as an omen, as an astrological message, as something to understand symbolically is also interwoven into the meaning of the astrological theme of what is October 2024, but also what this eclipse season is trying to tell us and communicate to us, to the masses as a collective message. Okay, so back to comets. As you know, there's Halley's Comet, who was visible in 1986. I was very young, so I didn't actually have a recollection of seeing that. But that should again take place in the 60s, 2060s. So a lot of us will still be around, old and grey, but we'll be around to witness that. Halley's Comet has been recorded as something quite phenomenal, has come around every so often, and if not once but twice in one's lifetime, and it's generally linked to major events that happen around her appearing and disappearing, okay, as an example. So if you look at recorded history, especially in Western recorded history around astronomy, astrology, that's one comet to read about what her appearance and disappearance has actually been linked to in terms of worldwide events. And the Chinese, the astronomers of ancient China, loved to record the movement and activity of comets and also how they looked in the sky, their visibility patterns, their maps, where they appeared and how they moved through the sky in terms of an actual diagram. And that is something quite remarkable, I would say, because movement says a lot. Movement creates imagery. Through imagery, we understand the potential message because we get a feeling of what that dance is all about. Comets, yes, have that danger, have that threatening component. At the same time, a very awe-inspiring and stunning to witness, especially if we can see through the naked eye. And a comet has generally a blazing tail, so it's like moving fire. At least that's how it looks like. In ancient Greek understanding, there were various interpretations around comets and what they are and what they mean. The word itself, in its origination, comet, comes from an ancient Greek word which is linked to one's hair, believe it or not, because one of the Pleiadian sisters in ancient Greek myth was very upset with the circumstances that took place with Troy, ancient Troy, and in a means to display her suffering, I believe, took out her hair, ripped out her hair, and somehow this linked to what a comet is, when that is flying in the sky. It's like a ball of someone's hair moving on fire or blazing, right? That's one example, but there are various. If we look at certain challenges that happened at the Oracle of Delphi as well in ancient history, and how certain divinities took pity at the time based on the ancient Greek gods of what was taking place, how they then transformed circumstances into planetary bodies, also being that of meteors and comets, instead of letting certain beings suffer. I think it was Hades and Persephone who took pity on, those who were sacrificed at the Oracle of Delphi in honor of a certain truce, and allowed for them to be comets and meteors in the sky. Hence why the name meteor also is coming again from an ancient Greek word, which is linked to that particular myth of the rescuing that took place from the underworld, from the gods of the underworld, divinities of the underworld, who were Persephone and Hades, and somehow resurrected and ensured for some supreme placement of a certain sacrificial act based on two sisters and their story with the Oracle of Delphi long, long, long ago. So if we go into ancient Rome as well, comets are always targeting the rise and fall of certain entities, people, rulers, and so on. Not a very favorite figure of mine in ancient history, but Octavian, who, was the adopted, I believe, nephew or, so-called relative, younger relative of Caesar, was part of the gang that continued on ruling Rome. And also Octavian was known to be the one who put an end to the glory of what was Cleopatra's reign and the fall of what we know as the pharaohs in ancient Egypt. So Octavian, just to give you an idea, what he had said is that Caesar's soul was already departing with the comet that was in the sky prior to his death. It was carrying him away prior to his assassination. So here are just some imprints of comets throughout history, and something for us to ponder over if we're wanting to understand more about the power of comets and what they're offering on every level. So the way I would like to describe this, through the overall understanding that I can share, is one thing that's for sure: they offer enormous change. Earth goes through change when there is such visibility. Now, what kind of change does Earth go through when comets are passing at such visibility? If you look at it from an astrological perspective, we have to take into account where these comets are passing, where the sun is in terms of its placement at the time, and what else is happening astrologically in the sky, to therefore be able to provide the right kind of analysis. So all of us individually will be affected by a comet's close proximity to Earth in October. We will be affected by the energy that comes with that, because it is an energetic bomb. It does bring high voltage. We can say that all these massive activities with the solar flares and so on that was happening in very early October as well, which was then the cause for many different types of lights appearing across the Earth. We can definitely also understand that, there's more happening with the eclipses and so on and so forth that is amplifying the energetic intensity and high voltage for all of us. But why is this happening right now? Well, first thing that comes to mind is we're about to go through one of the biggest collective circumstances that are all linked to an election, believe it or not. Now, that election that's going to be taking place early November 2024 is something that will impact the whole earth, whether we like it or not. It has a link to all of us. We are all collectively somehow in the same plot of what the effect of that election will do. So it's major. It comes down to two people who will be chosen and what that will mean on a worldwide scale, how that will impact the masses. So not only are these huge eclipses that just happened, not only are we dealing with all this solar activity that's flaring up and communicating as well its degree of intensity, we also have the comet, its visibility, and Lilith right there with the eclipses in Libra, okay? The black moon, Lilith, and all of these positionings are wrathful, They're not soft and tender. They're all very raw and confrontational, energetic activities coming from the skies. So yes, in the traditional tarot, if we look at, for example, the tarot from Marseille, the Tower card actually shows that the earthly paradise, the realm of paradise, which can be attained through the right kind of direction and intention, that is a place, of course, beyond the bondage and cyclic existence, falling from that paradise, which is seen in an earthly way in the card itself, takes place through a comet and hailstorms. In better words, it's illustrated like humankind's expulsion from the potential of paradise, whether it be on an earthly plane or in a more ethereal level, or a level beyond the intellect, right, has been destroyed through comets and hailstorms. Now this Tower card shows humans falling and through a comet arriving, and a lot of hail and very bad weather. So somehow in every possible direction I kind of seek out answers on this whole globe. Comets do bring change, they herald change, and they also do end things. They end things at high voltage. And if they require us to, somehow say, okay, we are probably needing new forms of information, understanding, to have the right level and degree of evolution as humankind, it's always going to be stronger the way it happens than just our intellectual saying of such statements. It's happening very universally. It's not able to just sit in a comfortable way, the process of what's happening, where we can digest it, from one to another. So that intensity, that wrath, as awe-inspiring and beautiful as it is coming with the eclipse message, and the eclipses specifically, it is coming with the black moon Lilith in Libra there too, and with all that solar activity that has been very, very intense and loud in what it's been doing, and how we've seen like the visible display of what that means has also been, again, gorgeous, but it implies there are greater powers. The universe is communicating, there are greater messages, and comets also state big changes around the weather, around the earth and its resources, and nature, nature's expression. Because before anything, nature is the ruler, the key kind of fundamental creator energy of this earth, which is then, of course, linked to the main elements, the 5 elements, which is earth, water, space, fire, and air. So when these elements start to become wrathful and become out of their own divine equipoise, then massive issues take place, right? Especially when they're abused, such as floods, fires, earthquakes, hurricanes, all of that, hailstorms, etc., so on and so forth. However, generally what happens is all these awful things take place so that there can be some form of reestablishment of an order that is working towards something more authentic, right? Instead of taking on a wrong collective direction. And generally when it has to appear in such an awful way is because things are already quite disconnected instead of being unified in the most authentic way amidst the masses, right? Because we should all be unified. We should all understand that we're unified. But when there is a self-serving, very strong kind of separation amidst the masses, natural imbalances take place, and the elements also become very imbalanced and disturbed because there's no more of a understanding of what we're of and the rights, that what we're of have, and just how much we should or should not exploit, right? Because generally we never should. And this is where the upcoming example elections, I guess for all this to be happening just before those elections, it's generally the first thing that comes to my mind, proves that these elections are going to be very awful and unfortunate, no matter what happens, no matter which direction it's elected to go, it's very much already across the line of accepting what's taking place in terms of the earth itself, and if we look at the astrological messages, the earth and the astrological messages in terms of what's happening in our skies also say, we've crossed the line. The earth can only accept so much, right? And the people are being dragged into all sorts of degenerate states of being instead of understanding our collective responsibility and having more of a respect and applying ourselves properly as being humans, right? Not being something else. So this is where things start to get probably very dark, yeah? And when I say dark, I'm talking about a very difficult, dark hour for all of us, for all of the beings of this world that we're in, before we start to understand what really matters, returning to a place of value and authenticity. Now, why can a comet's appearance do that when, people would say, oh, comets are visible all the time? Yeah, they're quite visible. Yeah, comets generally pass the earth. We can see comets frequently enough, yes. But this one is, as I said, recently discovered, and it's very visible. It's not just visible, it's inverted brackets, very visible. And its proximity is quite close. It's passing through the serpent bearer. It's very much there on most nights in our skies in terms of the stars. And why it's happening now and when it's happening now from an astrological viewpoint all has such a high alert kind of exclamation mark attached to it. So I guess we all want to know, well, what can we do to help the situation? Okay, so personal influence, how we're being affected personally and what's happening collectively, okay? So here we are, 2 sections. On a collective level, yes, big change, a lot of disaster. On a collective level, who our hidden enemies are going to be revealed. So we might have been trusting the wrong leaders, right? And suddenly we can see who the real enemies are for the collective when we talk about divine growth, divine evolution, things for the highest benefit. What are the enemies there? They will be revealed with this axis of Libra, Aries-Libra. In fact, enemies in general are going to be quite placed in terms of visible platforms of what really happened, having certain things answered, wherein they might have seemed like it wasn't an obstacle for anyone at the time. But then, suddenly the real stories come out and people start to speak, and everything is cleared up, and we get to see who and what was the problem that was impacting the higher good, the greater potential. So people's in power will be thrown out of their positions. This is what the astrology is saying, also including the comet in its placement, how we're seeing it, its visibility. People's in power will be thrown out of their positions. And not only will they be thrown out of their positions, how that happens is also going to take place in quite a uncomfortable way for the masses. It will be difficult for us to understand why certain things are happening the way they are. Also, we have to say that with the ecliptic axis of what's happening, directional node being in Aries, south node in Libra, enemies of the past and how they have not succeeded in collectively destroying this highest potential of what humanity can do. Those enemies of the past and the futuristic possibilities of a greater, let's say, direction for the whole is also going to be taking on a very big confrontational point in the next 2 to 3 weeks from the day that I'm releasing this. Just to give you an idea, it's around the full moon in Aries, which is taking place on the 17th, 18th of October, 2024. So I'm releasing this around then, okay? So just count those weeks down and you'll understand as you see things happen. On a very personal level, if we're altruistic, right? If we're wanting the best for the world, for others, if we want people to reconnect with their authenticity, if we're interested in supporting the earth, the elements, the natural order, which we have the technology to save the natural order instead of using the technology to abuse it. In fact, we have the best technology to save the natural order. We can clean up all the oceans. We can clean up all the earth, the soil. We can do all of that. But what is the choice going to be? What are we going to try and protect and support? Yes, it's very difficult. Of course, people will say, oh, how can I? I'm just one person. There's so many billions of people. How am I going to be able to make an impact? But we can. We can, at least through the intention, through caring, because that adds up. That's so valuable. Just wanting it, even if you can't do much, at least you want it. At least you're trying to care. You care about something greater for yourself, those who come after you. The generosity of this earth, which is, you can't compare with the generosity of this earth. Have you ever met a human being who is as generous as this earth, as nature itself, as the elements? We have to ask ourselves that question, because if we have met people as generous as the earth and the elements itself, they're unique. They're like seeing literally a comet that we're just talking about now passing through the sky and doing a circular dance and then just disappearing instead of doing anything else. Have you seen that before? So that's how rare, That's how rare. But that's why when people come, great beings, incredible entities come to really serve a higher purpose on this earth, they're seen as something as rare as a star in the daylight, as ancient texts have said. And I will be honest, the positive, answer to all of this is those of you who are really aspiring for the best. These types of planetary circumstances can bring us great revelations, great insights, excellent connections to higher states of being that are very strong, energetic downloads that are of high voltage, answers that we've been looking for, clarity in terms of who we're supposed to be and why, if we're aiming towards something very true and authentic. Okay? Yes. So in terms of the tarot card, the traditional tarot, and this tower card and the comet and the hailstorm, that tower card also symbolically means awakening. Things have to collapse sometimes, right? The world as we know it has to fall apart. Everything, concepts, understandings, values, opinions, everything has to fall down, and then we can have the right kind of truth take place, the revelation. Because divine intervention generally will surprise and shock. And comets are known to do that. They're known to surprise. They're known to shock, right? The Tower card is a major arcana card. It has power beyond compare, but it cannot function how we expect. It is there to enlighten, to awaken, to transform, right? Through knocking us out of all sorts of earthly paradises, definitely. Pushing the soul's ascension into a higher state of being, especially to the highest state of being, which is a complete degree of enlightenment, at least total, if you ask me. And I'll say one more thing too. If we look at the Tower card in accordance with all that's happening in comets, to understand their importance, we see the comet in that Tower card as a marker of that change, as a swift marker of that change, because the speed linked to symbolism of comets and what they do when they're so close and visible, and the message does activate quick change. And it is going to be powerful, quick change. Destruction always comes with change, especially if it's powerful and quick. And we have to be ready to let, on a personal level, great things take place. So there needs to be a degree of understanding. Yes, if there's a lot of exposition, inverted brackets, it's a great thing. If things are coming out from the depths of the psyche and going onto the platform for public display, and you can't believe that, things about you are being revealed in such a way, don't be alarmed. See it as a liberation, because generally when it's out of you, really, whatever it is that has been hiding or difficult to understand or ongoing that you just can't get rid of, you have issues that are persisting, your own state, having a stagnant element to it, let's say. If things come out, see it as a liberation, see it as a freedom, that you're free of something. And I want to keep this about comets, okay? But I will be more than happy to talk about the full moon as well in Aries and what that means for all of us. But I feel that this could be enough. Let's see how we go. Yeah. So, question. Yes, do comets herald death? Well, they have heralded death in the past, as change can mean a certain kind of ending, right? Before a beginning takes place. But generally they're shocking and surprising and quick in their approach. So there's a lot moving and shifting this October 2024. The eclipse has definitely enhanced that. And as I said, with the solar activity, the black moon Lilith being there, which talks about a whole other message that definitely triggers the power of healing on a collective level, because she's with the south node, she's with the sun. Mind you, if you need to tune into that, I have a very lengthy discussion on Lilith in Libra, and we still have a good 5 to 6 months of what that means for the collective. So please request it and I'll tell you how you can obtain it. But just so you can get a heightened understanding of what's happening in October because of Lilith in Libra as well, is all of what's happening in the accumulated psyche and subconscious of the collective, all that was, things that we need to let go of. Lilith is there really moving what needs to be finally done with for the collective psyche. And when she is in a place, the way things are revealed are generally very traumatic because they're not done peacefully. There is confrontation, things get exposed, there's a lot of dialogue. And Lilith, to be in that department, she's thinking about relationships, partnerships, who the collective can entrust to support the whole. How is that going? A lot of things are going to be revealed to us. We will see so much. We will learn so much about who really has been supportive, the highest potential of this earth, and what's trying to destroy it. This will be revealed. Lilith doesn't fail when she goes to our past and sits there, okay? and does whatever she needs to do with that message for the collective psyche. Simultaneously, the sun being there too in October does support that push to make us all as a collective start to say, well, where are we going? Because it all looks a bit gloomy and a bit difficult, and it doesn't look like we're going to have a grand prize through our efforts of what we're trying to obtain here. It all seems a bit iffy, and there's a lot of skepticism, and rightfully so, because can we see the state of the world right now? Does it not look like it's in a very difficult, catastrophic, awful state? War in every direction of the 4 directions of this earth. And for what purpose? Does that make us all feel comfortable? There's something deep down inside us that is obviously suffering too, because we are connected. If we have additional depression, if we have additional lethargy, exhaustion, it's because the earth and nature is depleted and suffering, and it's because people are upset. They're in pain. People are suffering. There's really catastrophic things going on. So this is where our communion with the divine, our wanting things that can really help that inner world to therefore help everyone and everything, is ace. It's always going to be the glory if we seek that out in the midst of all of this. And I encourage us all to, if we get time to see the comet, or simply just being aware that it's there, understanding the high voltage of energy that's coming our way, working with Libra symbolically, okay, and energetically, which is divine balance, divine equipoise in the exalted state, the play of the masculine and feminine in all, the sacredness of that, and also the power of divine union when you have the right connections, when you are connected to really helpful friends, allies, circumstances, partnerships, and so on a grandiose level, and also on a personal level. I'm really looking forward to see your photos if you have caught the comet. Pray for the earth, pray for all beings, all animals, all the insects, nature, all your friends, enemies, everyone. Pray for everyone that, everyone is somehow going to seek out the best in their inner world, want that authenticity, and that true healing happens. We need it. We need true healing. We need true peace. And we definitely need to listen, because we don't want the cosmic messages and I guess everything that's happening in terms of the worldwide turmoil to escalate. We want the cosmic messages to bring great support and teachings instead of make us all become alarmed because things are veering towards a very dark and difficult way. So we can, through our wishes, aspirations, our prayers, and all that we're doing on that inner journey, we can indeed help transform and change all that's ahead. So may this help us all, may this message help us all, and understanding also there is a, some kind of a, I guess, inability here for us always to understand everything, and that's okay. We're not supposed to make that the aim, but we should be at least trying to bring out the best through whatever's taking place internally. Always try and veer it towards the best, because that's where it all starts. So thank you so much, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.